Hi everyone, my name's Candice and I'm a licensed mental health counselor. This is a free video, but if you find it helpful, please consider donating to the Mental Health Association here in Central Florida. I know that with everything going on, there is going to be a lot of need for counseling. So I will put the link in the comments below. But I wanted basically to put this together, to start putting a few of these together. My mind has been running crazy with all the things that the world must be feeling right now and not really understanding and not really knowing what to do with those feelings. So I just wanted to put this together to start helping people deal with some of the really uncomfortable feelings that are going to be coming up around COVID and this pandemic that we are all in. So a couple of things that I wanted to touch on today is to help shed some light on some of the feelings that might be coming up. So it's important to know that there's no right feelings that are coming up, but this is just kind of a general list of the ones that I've been hearing about from people in my life, from my clients, and the ones that I've been feeling. You may have other ones, so there's nothing wrong, right? We're all just kind of in this figuring it out as we go. So just kind of to shed some light on some of the feelings that might be coming up. Also to start talking about some of the things that you could start doing to manage some of those feelings without trying to turn them off. So I'll talk a little bit about what I mean by not trying to turn them off in a minute. And it's important to know that this is not therapy. This video is educational only, so if you think that you might need therapy to help you get through this or something else that's going on right now, right? Because this pandemic does not mean that everything else in our lives stops in terms of trauma, in terms of anxiety, in terms of relationship problems. So if you feel like you need therapy to help you cope through this or with something else that's going on, please check out Psychology Today. I'll put the link below. Or if you're here in Central Florida, you can reach out to the Mental Health Association and they can help link you up with a therapist. So if you are feeling an emotional crisis, it's also important to contact the suicide hotline. So I'm going to have that link below for the phone and also for chat. So today, I'm really kind of shooting from the hip when I have time here. So one of the things that I'm thinking is let's go emotion by emotion, right? So this is a list of the feelings that I've seen coming up around this for a lot of people. So there's a lot of uncertainty, right? The biggest thing is we all have unanswered questions right now, and a lot of them. We also have a lot of overwhelm, right? Just by the amount of things that are going on, the number of changes. There is a lot of disappointment, right? Disappointment it's like miniature grief, right? So it's coming up around all the things that we're having to let go of. Normalcy, plans, things like that. There is also a lot of guilt / helplessness coming up for a lot of people. Feeling really bad for people that are around them, people they see, people they hear about in the news. Feeling a lot of empathy for them, feeling bad for them. So we're going to touch a little bit about on that, kind of what that looks like. So why don't we start with the guilt today? Partially because that's the one that I kind of started with when I was kind of sorting through my feelings about this. So when I say guilt, I think that, as we are kind of watching the world suffer, right? We're watching the world struggle, and we're predicting more struggle that's coming, right? There's going to be a lot of, I feel bad for them. I feel bad for you. I feel bad for her. A lot of feeling bad, right? And a lot of times when we say, oh, I feel bad for this person, we label that as guilt. I feel guilty. I just feel terrible. And that gets really confusing at a time like this. And I'll talk a little bit about why, right? So guilt is a healthy emotion, right? Guilt is an emotion that we are supposed to have. It is our conscience, right? It's our moral compass. It lets us know these are the things that are right by me, that feel valid and valuable, and like I'm the kind of person that I want to be when I'm acting this way. And maybe those are behaviors that don't feel right to me, right? So for example, my moral compass tells me I shouldn't lie to close friends of mine. And so if I do, right, I'm going to feel natural, healthy guilt, right? And it's going to signal to me, right, that I've done something that goes against the kind of person I'm trying to be in this world. And all of our emotions come with impulses, right? So that's an important thing to know. And with guilt, the healthy impulse is going to be to apologize, to make amends, right? So in the example of, right, if I lie to somebody and that goes against my moral compass, it might mean owning up to it, right? Apologizing, talking about why I did it and how sorry I am and doing what I can to make it right. But what a lot of people are experiencing right now, right, because we usually call it guilt when we feel pain for somebody else. And so one of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of people, whether you are an empath or not, you are noticing the feelings of what you think are guilt coming up for other people, right? I struggled with this just last weekend, right? I was kind of sitting in it myself and feeling really bad for all the people that I know whose jobs are going to be affected by this, right? People that can't work from home, people in the service industry, people in, right? We have a ton of tourism here in Central Florida, right? All of these people are going to be affected. People who work, even worse yet, right? People who work in jobs that are still requiring them to come in, right? And the anxiety that they're sitting in and the difficult choices that they're having to make between their health or their income, right? And my heart goes out to these people, right? So feeling guilty for people that are in that position, feeling also bad for people who maybe don't have the resources to stock up on food, right? So people who live paycheck to paycheck and they can't go to the grocery store and buy 2 weeks worth of groceries, right? They live paycheck to paycheck, which means they maybe have enough to stock up for a week because that's how often they get paid. And then they have to go back out, right? So there's that, right? There's feelings of empathy, right? Like I feel bad for people who are older right now, people who are not necessarily so old that they're in the high risk category, right? Health wise, but feeling bad for people who are in their early 60s, right? Who are now questioning, am I going to be able to retire? Am I ever going to be able to retire? Right? Because this is decimating my retirement accounts, right? And those people are now worried about, are they going to be able to take care of themselves, right? Are they going to be able to stop working when their health is starting to decline, or they want to start taking it easy, right? And their whole future plans have been kind of thrown into flux, right? Like all of ours. And so a lot of what I noticed coming up for me and coming up for a lot of people that I've been talking to is we feel bad. We feel bad for the things that we're not struggling with or that we may not have in common with that person right now. And like, for example, if you can work from home, and you have financial stability right now, you might be feeling bad. You know, if you have the resources to stock up on groceries and toilet paper and shut yourself in for a while, you might be feeling bad. It's natural to feel this way. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about this because this is actually one of the really beautiful emotions that's coming out of this. And it's not guilt, it's empathy, right? You're feeling pain for someone else. You're watching someone else's pain that's happening now, or you're seeing it coming, and you're validating it and you're experiencing it with them, and you're acknowledging that's really hard. That's going to be really hard for them. And the reason I say that that's empathy, right, is because that's what we feel when we're sitting with somebody and we're watching them cry, right, and we start to hurt. But that's not the same thing as guilt. It feels the same. Physically, it feels the same, and a lot of times we confuse the two. But it is not a feeling of I feel bad because I've done something wrong. It's a feeling of I feel bad for you. I feel your pain. And that's a really important distinction because I think that points us in a more useful direction. And the reason that I say that is because if you're feeling a lot of empathy or you're feeling what you think is guilt, then you're probably feeling helpless, right? So helpless is kind of the tag along friend that comes with that one, right? Because if we see somebody else in pain, it may be bringing up feelings of there's nothing I can do. I don't know how to help this person, or I don't know how to help everybody. And that is the reality of the situation, right? Is like, unless you are a billionaire, right, you cannot go out and dole out money to everybody in your neighborhood to help them stock up on groceries, right? You cannot go to your friends' employers and demand that they let them work from home and continue their employment, right? You can't help those things. But that kind of turns us to something that I think is really important, right? Which is that some of the feelings that are going to be coming up around COVID are not feelings that you can turn off. They're not feelings that you can control, which I know we don't love, right? As a culture, we love the ability to say, let's lean in the direction of things that feel good. Let's lean out of the things that feel bad. But it's not that simple right now. And I think it's important to know that if these feelings are coming up for you and you are feeling bad, that's normal. That's human, even, right? We're born with mirror neurons for a reason, right? Because we look at people and suffer, and we suffer with them, right? So I wanted to touch on that just a little bit, but let's talk a little bit about what you can do to manage it, right? So just for this specific, we'll call it kind of an emotional cluster, right, around guilt, empathy, helplessness, as you are looking at the pain that the world is in, right? Whether that is people in your immediate life, your friends, your loved ones, your family, your neighbors, or if it's just people on Facebook, people in news stories that you're reading about, people that you're watching videos about elsewhere in the world, right? You're going to feel empathy for them, right? Whether they're standing in front of you or not. That's the cool thing about mirror neurons, right? Is we don't actually have to have the person sitting across from us in order to feel what they're feeling. So let's talk a little bit about what you can do to manage it. So if this particular emotional cluster is something that you are struggling with right now, then there are some strategies that you can use to help kind of manage some of those feelings, right? Not turn them off. And one of the things that I've been gravitating towards that I've been really encouraging my clients to do is find unorthodox ways to help, right? So I can't go out and fill everybody's refrigerator. I can't go out and, demand everybody's employer, like, let them work from home. But that doesn't mean that I can't help, right? So that was actually how this video started, right? I started thinking about this last week. It came out as a Facebook post that I wrote, and I was like, maybe one thing that I can do is to help people through the emotional piece of this, right? And that's something that I can do from home. It's something I can do for free. It's something that I can do while staying safe myself, while keeping other people safe. And so it's really important to find unorthodox ways to help. And the reason I say that is because it will start to alleviate some of that pain. It's not going to make it go away, but it will start to alleviate it, right? So if you can find actionable things that you can do to help other people right now from your house. So for example, my cousin's wife, she has no idea how to sew, and she's working on sewing face masks for healthcare workers, right? So my sister is actually a doctor, right? And she was explaining to me yesterday that there is a massive shortage already of medical supplies for healthcare providers. And essentially what that means for changing protocols around healthcare and containment of germs, right? It gets much more lax when there's not supplies in order to protect everybody. And so one thing that you could do to help, right? One thing that my cousin's wife is doing, and if you don't sew, that's fine. One thing that she's doing is learning to sew and sending masks, right? Because having reusable masks where they can switch out filters, that helps to keep our healthcare workers safe. It helps to keep them well so that they can keep us well. And you can do it from your house. You can make YouTube videos, honestly, about something that has nothing to do with this, right? Something that is fun and sweet and beautiful or funny. And it will offer people a distraction, even if it's only for 2 minutes. And that's a contribution, right? You can reach out to people in your life if you have extra supplies at your house, right? If you, let's say you have, I don't know, way more canned goods and toilet paper than you think you'll go through, right? You can reach out to the people in your life and say, you know what, I can't fill everybody's fridge, but you can reach out to them and say, hey, I have a little bit extra. Like, if you guys need anything, reach out to me. I love you. I want to make sure you're taken care of. Let me help. Let me know, right? That's something that you can do. And when you think about, unorthodox ways to help, right? So that might mean, right, as Americans, we tend to live really separate lives, right? We tend to live kind of everybody in their own unique bubble, right? Everybody gets their own house. And with this going on, right, one of the unique ways that you might be able to help is childcare, right? Is like if there's a family member that you know that is struggling and figuring out how are they going to work while managing their children, what the heck is that going to look like working from home? It might mean maybe you move in temporarily. Maybe you help out with childcare if you don't have that same situation on your hands, right? And it's not an orthodox thing, right? And it's not a permanent thing, but it's a maybe for now thing. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to move in with everybody, but finding ways to contribute. And that honestly may be as simple as calling to check on your friends, right? Calling to check on them, calling to validate what they're feeling. And when I say validate, I mean essentially anything other than dismiss, right? So we have a tendency as Americans to steer people away from feeling bad and kind of redirect them towards feeling good, which means if you tell me, gosh, I just feel so terrible, I feel so terrible, and if I'm not validating you, then I'm going to say, well, but at least you stocked up a few weeks ago, or at least I'm going to try and point out something positive to distract you from this, right? But maybe the kindest way that you can help is by saying, yeah, that feels terrible. I am right there with you. Like, that is hard, and we are in this together, and I love you, and you may not think that helps, but that may be the space that somebody needs from you right now. So when I say unorthodox ways, I mean unorthodox ways. It's just something to think about. And so that's all for today. I wanted to start kind of putting these out in bits and pieces. So today we've been talking about guilt, empathy, helplessness, some of the ways that you can start to maybe manage some of those feelings. Like I said, not shut them off, but manage them. And again, this is just an educational video. This is not a substitute for therapy. So if you think that you might need therapy to help you get through this or something else that's going on right now, please check out Psychology Today, or like I said, if you're here in Central Florida, reach out to the Mental Health Association and find yourself a therapist, right? Get started talking about some of the feelings that are coming up right now, because there's going to be a lot of them. My hope is to continue putting these together and do a little bit on each of the feelings that are coming up. So next video will probably be on, I'm thinking uncertainty, because that's the biggest thing coming up right now. So I hope this was helpful. If you are interested in other video topics, feel free to comment below and we'll figure it out. So have a great day. Take care of yourself.